where dreams collide. Sarah's voice, a gentle guide through the realms of time and space. She takes us to a sacred place.
Hello.
Do I have permission to ask questions?
You may proceed.
I'm very curious about this other place where Arashis lived, on that place that you call Avalon. Can you tell me more about this place?
Hmm. I believe he had it wrong. He should have said it was avian. I think he said Avalon, but I think it should have been avian.
Oh, tell me about this place.
It is the Irma's home planet in Vega, but it is avian,
Why
not Avalon.
is why is it named Avian?
Hmm. I'm not sure.
Does the name have any significance?
Hmm. No, I don't think so.
Do you get a sense as to who named it that?
Hmm. The Irma are the original race of Lyrans. So presumably it would have been one of their elders or a body of elders.
See?
But as with all planets, I'm not sure that any one individual names them. They organically sprout their own names as all planets are alive. And so through their consciousness, they diffuse their names onto the inhabitants
It's really
of each
interesting.
planet.
Do you get a sense as to why the avian diffused that name? Does it have any meaning?
Mm. I'm not sure.
That's fine. Could you tell me
Um,
more about the Irma and their planet and how they are the original people?
they, there are felines, there are dogs, space dogs or wolves. dogs are more a human breeding of the wolf, but basically everything that we see on planet Earth has a higher frequency equivalent out in space. And more or less what we see on planet Earth in terms of the animal kingdom and its hierarchy is exactly the same as what we see out in space. So the quote unquote king of the jungle is what the lion, and the same goes for this galaxy. The king of the galaxies are Irma, a higher density, higher frequency, much more advanced species.
So are humans all descendants of Irma or no?
Humans are descendants of Lyrans. Lyrans are what would be said as an offshoot of the Irma, a more humanoid version of the Irma. Irma are actually literal space tigers or space felines, space cats. There is an intertwined history where humans have the original Lyran species looks quite feline with very large feline eyes and a feline face, but not cat,
Mm.
more bipedal humanoid with arms and legs and a
Oh.
torso and no fur. So how that came to be, I'm uncertain.
And so why did the Lyrans come to Earth exactly?
The Lyrans, the Lyrans are everywhere, and according to Swaru's information, they are more space humans in space than there are on planet Earth. And effectively, space humans have been influencing what is happening on planet Earth. Planet Earth has become somewhat of a safari planet for souls. And so effectively every species of human, or we here on planet Earth like to call nationalities, but all are influenced by extraterrestrial space humans. This is what gives the diversity of the various races or nationalities on planet Earth. This is why the Mexican and Mesopotamian and African and Asian people look vastly different, and at a genetic level are vastly different.
Well, because they're helped by different space humans, is that why? Or they come from different space humans?
They come from different space humans. They have been directly seeded, and every race has its own lineage from the star people or space humans.
I see.
So, yeah.
Do you know which space humans work with the different races, or no?
So there is an ancient Mayan culture which evaporated and disappeared off the face of Earth, and they left a lot of history for us, of which the 2012 calendar ended with the Mayan calendar.
Mhm.
And the Mayans were literally from the Mayan star system in the Pleiades,
Hmm.
the star Maya. This is one of the from the M45 cluster, of which the Taigetans also reside from the star system Taigeta. And the reason that the Mayans disappeared without a trace is because they literally ascended in their consciousness. And so that is one example. The ancient Nordic supposed gods were all Pleiadian, Taigetan Pleiadians.
Hmm. Well, what about the different, so do the different races have specific space humans that check on these people according to their race? What about people that are interracial, that are multiple races?
There is free will on planet Earth, and people can do what they would like to do. However, at a soul contract level, there are incarnated star seeds, such as myself, who are incarnate but from a extraterrestrial lineage and directly connected to source. There are also step downs on planet Earth, which basically means extraterrestrials on planet Earth living amongst us. And there are also immersion pods, where extraterrestrials are on crafts or even on their home planets using quantum technology and transfer their consciousness into humans on planet Earth. There is no actual requirement for any particular race to have any particular extraterrestrial in them. However, certain genetic lineages will attract certain star races. For example, Irma are directly connected to ancient Sumer, Sumerian tablets, ancient cuneiform tablets. are the language of cuneiform tablets is literally the Irma language, where they use their claws to create alphabet or language.
Oh.
And the Irma have been very deeply ingrained in Earth's history. However, the regressive races that are deeply involved and intertwined in Earth's matrix have done their best to scrub as much of the Irma influence as they can.
I see. Well, does the Irma have any influence in Egypt?
Of course,
What?
the Irma created the Sphinx. The
Oh.
Sphinx is a spaceport. The underground region of the Sphinx is a fully functional spaceport. If you were to go under there, you would see living quarters, monitors, anything you could visualize is there. Gathering dust, not functional and thousands of years old, but nonetheless, it is there. The Cabal of Earth know this, and they have prevented any access to it for that reason.
Hmm. I have a question there. Go ahead.
The entry point, or one of the entry points, is under the right ear of the Sphinx. There is an entry point under the ear.
Wow. That's amazing. In Egypt, there are so many depictions of people that look different, or they have animal heads or things like that. But there's no depictions of like a lion being, or not that I've seen.
Correct. And this is exactly what I'm saying.
Mm.
The Cabal has done its best to scrub any and all historic remnant of Irma. However, if you do look carefully through some of the hieroglyphs, leopards and lions and lion-headed creatures are depicted. It is not a coincidence that the Sphinx head and face has been eroded.
Mm.
This was deliberate.
Mm.
However, as I was saying before, space wolves have also been involved, because the Irma and the space wolves are allies, deeply connected to one another, and very much friends. And they were all involved. There was not a lot of reason for the Cabal and the regressives that are controlling the planet to scrub that information, as these space wolves reside very far from Earth and have not great amounts of interest in Earth,
Mm.
other than to support the Irma should they need it.
So interesting. I have a question about this place in the United States. Throughout history, it has been called Avalon. And there was this king, King Arthur, and everyone saw him connected with a lion. And then this place seemed to have a portal to other realms or something in it. But I'm just curious if it is connected to the Irma in some way, because what I'm curious about is these lions that are depicted and how King Arthur was connected to lions, and then also, dragons possibly being connected to the reptilians. So I'm just wondering if there's any connection there, and if not, that's fine too.
Wherever there have been dragons in human history, there have been Irma opposing them. So it is highly likely that Lion Irma have been involved. History has been repeatedly tampered with on planet Earth, and it is very difficult to know for sure any particular ancient history. What the Cabal do is every several generations they reset history, and this has become a lot easier than burning down the Library of Alexandria, for example, because of the advent of internet, encyclopedias, and other printed texts are no longer being used. So it is becoming easier and easier to reset history for the benefit of the regressives. It serves them no benefit at all to have their primary adversary that could stand up to them and dominate them to be promoted in the current state of historic understanding.
Mm.
So even at a higher level, and because time is not linear, it's very difficult to say for sure, but I suspect if there has been obviously dragons at the time of King Arthur, there will have been lions as well.
Mm.
And Irma are extremely empathetic, extremely proud, but they are very fierce and strong and have no interest in allowing injustice. And they will always, no matter who it is, they will always very altruistically fight for the weak or the unknowing. And of course, the legends back at that time were all about the dragons causing huge amounts of havoc. But of course, no one talks about the lions that would have been there and the Irma people that would have been there to help.
Oh, interesting. So a lot of the women of Avalon and people that went to Avalon, this place in the UK or the United Kingdom, actually not America, the United Kingdom, um, there seemed to be some knowledge that they were keeping hidden. And I'm just curious if it had anything to do with the Galactic Wars or anything like that, if you get a sense. If not, that's fine too.
The Druids and the Knights Templar, a lot of ancient organizations all did their best to hide history from the ensuing Roman and thus Catholic and all Cabal related factions that did their best to stamp out any opposing force on the planet. So, whilst I do not know for sure, I have no doubt that there will have been suppressed and hidden information throughout the UK. Stonehenge is a vortex and ley line nexus point of planet Earth. And so I'm sure much has happened throughout history as Stonehenge is a portal.
Tell me about that.
Most circular megalithic structures are portals. Not active now necessarily, but placed on geomagnetic ley lines of planet Earth. And the piezoelectric energy that comes from these huge megalithic structures and rocks and minerals is used in similar ways and similar fashions as we have discussed before regarding pyramids.
Tell me more about the pyramids.
Pyramids serve multiple functions. Spiritual ascension, light body transfer, and travel, astral travel, as well as they serve as energy production.
Well, can you still use the pyramids now, even though they're not fully functional?
Only from a spiritual sense. Any pyramidal structure will still create an energy vortex of electrons. And when one is inside a pyramid, their Merkaba light body can hitch a ride, so to speak, with these energy vortices.
Where would they go?
Depending on their frequency, wherever they wanted and wherever their intention was. Obviously, this would be entirely dependent on the frequency and brainwave state that the individual was able to achieve during their meditative state. But in general, gamma frequencies are conducive to etheric body separation from physical body separation.
What kind of meditations put people in a gamma state? How do you get into a gamma state?
The ancient Vedics practice yogic cities, through Tanjali Sutras, which are an ancient sutra-based meditation, which is all Sanskrit. Again, frequency being the key. Certain tones, certain mantras will entrain the brain when those mantras are thought.
Do you get a sense which mantras and which tones and which sutras?
They're usually two-syllable, repetitive. They don't necessarily have to have meaning. However, many of them do. And most of it is about surrendering to the tone rather than thinking about the word or the sutra or the mantra.
Oh, surrendering to the tone.
Correct. It is not a direct effect. It's an indirect effect of the brain starting to resonate at the same frequency as the tone of said sutra or mantra.
Okay.
And once the brain gets to a certain frequency, the pineal gland activates through its piezoelectric crystals, and DMT is secreted into the bloodstream, which acts to separate etheric body from physical body.
I see. So meditation would be key then to produce this state.
More or less, meditation is the only way of doing it,
Mm-hmm. A surrender.
as everything is mind.
Right. Okay.
Everything is mind. We are all master manifestors. We create with our thoughts. Our thoughts are a frequency. Our frequency that can be measured using earth technology such as electroencephalogram, where electrodes are placed on the skull and pick up these frequencies. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, as the beloved Nikola Tesla has said. Everything is energy, frequency, vibration. Thoughts are no different. And a certain harmonic of certain thoughts are put together in the sequence. This leads to, again, sympathetic, constructive interference within the brain, which leads to higher states of consciousness, altered states of consciousness, and ultimately a translocation of consciousness,
Wow.
which is otherwise known as an astral body transfer or travel.
Is it beneficial for someone to do that? I mean, is it beneficial if when you're in the pyramids, for your Merkaba light body to leave and actually hitch a ride? Does this give the human any benefit?
Yes, much can be gleaned, much can be learned from higher frequencies. The Akashic records, as is colloquially termed in Earth's matrix, is really just a name for all of the energy and information that is available at higher densities and higher frequencies. And so when one does vibrate at a higher frequency, they become that frequency, and thus, like the dial on a radio, they tune in to a different radio station and are hearing a completely new, in this analogy, set of music. And so information is everywhere, and all one needs to do is dial their frequency up or down to get to that level of information. Because remember, we can only experience what we are in resonance with.
Mm.
And the analogy on planet Earth is with tuning forks. A 440 hertz tuning fork, no matter how much you bang it, will not make a 432 hertz tuning fork resonate at the other side of the table. But a 440 hertz tuning fork will always make another 440 hertz tuning fork resonate.
Wow, it's very true.
So this is how a lot of the ancient Egyptian priests from the king's chamber would, because the king's chamber is situated precisely in the center of the Great Pyramid. There is a box erroneously called a sarcophagus, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
but no remains of any pharaohs have ever been found in the chamber or in the pyramids. And that is because that box is designed for astral travel. If one is to lie in the box and practice meditation and have the intention to ascend into a higher frequency, it shall be so.
Wow, what could they do?
Anything they put their mind to, anything that they are in resonance with. So it is highly individual based on that individual's frequency. Everything comes back to frequency. And this is why on planet Earth at the moment, there is a distinct divide occurring between those that are staying in the lower frequencies, who cannot even contemplate extraterrestrial life. They cannot even see it, even when presented with very obvious video footage. They are unable to comprehend what they are not in resonance with. And this is the vast majority, as the vast majority of the matrix are not soul-connected individuals. They are non-player characters, or as Dolores Cannon would like to say, backdrop people.
Mm.
However, the minority of us on this planet are connected directly to Source, and in so have galactic heritage, much of which we have, by choice, forgotten for our Earth experience, or Earth safari, as it may be. It is a very rich planet, richly diverse in experiences, and you can choose to have any experience you want, but you can't know the answers to the test. Would be like watching a movie, a Hollywood movie, and knowing the ending of a 2-hour movie. Why would you watch the movie? You would not enjoy the experience of what would be coming next. You see, the higher the frequency an individual is, the easier everything is to manifest. And so things become mundane when everything is easy to manifest. Coming to Earth is highly desirable, despite the negative cabal influences and corruption that is occurring within the Galactic Federation and is only now being exposed by the Irma, the Taigetan people, and the Alcyone Council, which overshadows and overlooks all of the M45 Pleiadian star cluster. As we are starting to awaken at this density here on planet Earth to all of the injustices, all of the corruption, all of the, in inverted commas, big pharma issues, the political issues, everyone is in a state of awakening to the corruption of governments of this planet. At a higher frequency, this is also occurring. As I am sure you are aware, the love and light Galactic Federation propaganda is rife on this planet. However, there is a negative, regressive insurgence in the background manipulating certain factions that are involved, because the Galactic Federation of planets looks after everything on planet Earth. Everything is controlled by the Galactic Federation. Literally nothing is as it seems. Star Trek, the supposed fiction, Star Wars, the supposed fiction, are more real and more likely to be well represented as what the Galactic Federation actually is.
Really? Wow.
Correct. Roddenberry was the writer of Star Trek, and I believe he actually had some kind of dream or presumably telepathic download and got the whole idea of the Star Trek Prime Directive, Galactic Federation, and exploration of other planets, all from this download.
Wow.
So he undoubtedly would have been a starseed bringing the information to us. You see, the way the Cabal works on this planet is they choose what is science fiction and what is science fact. And they disseminate it through all of the media channels, which humans are addicted to and do not question. And so it is very easy for them to mind control the narrative on this planet. And this is where the current situation with the Galactic Federation and the insurgents of the Irma, the Taigetans, and the Engans, and other members of the Alcyone Council are actively against what is happening on planet Earth at this time. And a conflict is brewing.
Tell me about that.
The Irma have evidence of the Alphraton or the Alpha Centauri people, who are one of the regressive races that look very humanoid and in fact hold certain titles in politics on this planet, masquerading as human.
Are they really not human? Are they really?
Correct. Correct.
Oh.
They are not human.
How
There
can
are.
you tell?
You cannot tell. They look exactly the same. As I have said to you, there are more space humans in space than there are on planet Earth. They have all been seeded here. We are living in a Truman Show of sorts. There is no such thing as an election. It is a selection.
So the Cabal, who selects the president or the leaders?
All leaders. So every single leader across all continents on this planet are all in direct communication with extraterrestrial influences, knowingly and unknowingly. Eisenhower was in direct communication with extraterrestrials.
Well,
and there have been many more. But sometimes they are not aware. But the Cabal is very thick and deep, and they hold their meetings on the one place on this planet that no one is allowed to go to.
Where's that?
And the South Pole.
Oh.
Antarctica.
What happens there?
There are underground bases in Antarctica where the Cabal, the Galactic Federation, meet, and certain key players from planet Earth, such as Elon Musk and various other billionaires that supposedly have magical knowledge and can do so many vast things, yet no one seems to ask the question, how can one person be a rocket scientist, a digital currency expert, a drilling and boring expert, a electrical engineer and manufacturer of the top electrical vehicles. Everyone seems to just accept this, which I feel is, for lack of a better word, hilarious.
So who are these people really?
They are all part of the Galactic Federation. The concerns are that, well, let's say it this way. The Galactic Federation feel that we are creating our own realities through collective consciousness. And so at a higher soul level, their argument is that we want all of this suffering on this planet in order to have soul experiences, to learn at a higher level to transcend and transmute our lower frequency to higher frequency, and in doing so have a extremely karmically useful experience. And I am sure you are aware of Dolores Cannon's work on this.
Mm-hmm.
However, Dolores's work is oversimplified and not entirely correct. But effectively, the principles are the same. And so the argument is that the souls on planet Earth who have chosen to incarnate here from higher frequencies and higher densities have done so to experience all the nitty-gritty pain and suffering, to burn through their karma, to have a significant experience. However, there is much injustice and suffering of innocent children on the planet at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is unacceptable to the Irma and many other races that are starting to awaken. There is also an argument to be said for, whilst you can get an excellent experience at a soul level from suffering, so too can you get an excellent experience, arguably better experience, from a higher frequency and positive experience. And so the only reason to really continue with the negativity on planet Earth is because the regressive species on this planet, either directly or indirectly, are benefiting from and feeding on our lower vibrational energy. And this is why no mainstream media channel ever propagates positive, happy, love-filled news, as you call it, in inverted commas. News is only of the negative, and it is always made to mind control the masses, to keep people in fear. And this is unethical and unacceptable from the Irma's standpoint, the Taigetan standpoint, and so on.
Will they be doing something or intervening?
They are doing something. They are currently in throes of discussions, and treaties are being made with the Alcyone Council members to advocate against and distance themselves from the Galactic Federation that are controlling planet Earth currently.
Hmm. Well, like a child, say, that goes through a horrible experience. Well, there's so many children even being preyed upon with different toxins and things like that. It seems like completely on purpose.
It
What?
is much worse. It is much worse than that.
Tell me about
Much
it.
worse. Thousands and thousands and thousands of children every day go missing without a trace. Where do you think these children are going? And
Where
why?
is it
The
for
rep-
their adrenochrome?
Correct. Adrenochrome and just their plasma and all of their young stem cells. They literally use fear to get these children, and then they feed on the children.
What?
Just as humans enjoy eating baby sheep called lamb, and they call it lamb and they think it's okay, the reptilians are no different.
I see. Okay.
They see this planet as their own. They feel they have been here longer than space Lyrians, and so they feel some ownership. But they are doing it all very covertly, and the corruption within the Galactic Federation members, such as the Alphatons, who are involved in planet Earth affairs very deeply, have been corrupted. And the Irma have got evidence to this effect, as there was a insurgence, I believe, of these regressives to the Alpha Centaurian planet, to the point where they actually converted them to work for them. Reptilians are extremely telepathic. They are extremely manipulative, and very easily they can create an army of another species for their own bidding without them actually knowing that that is happening to them,
Mm.
as they feel they're fighting for a different cause. And many of the wars on this planet, if not all of the wars, have not been for what the mass public media has said it has been about. Vast majority of them have been wars for ancient spaceports, ancient portals, and ancient extraterrestrial technologies distributed throughout the planet. The current conflict in Russia and Ukraine is an example of this. There are many, many bases and pyramids, particularly in the Crimea region of the Ukraine. And most of the fight is to gain control of those spaceports and extraterrestrial technologies.
What happens to the souls of these children if there's thousands a day that go missing that are used for this? What happens to those souls? Because I would think they would be completely traumatized.
Of course they are. But again, the Galactic Federation, well, children, of course, even though they are children, are still not children. They are
Yeah.
ancient souls. And so when they remove themselves from that experience, it can be viewed in a less traumatizing way. But nonetheless, you are correct. It is a horrific experience that, for many reasons, and one of which is, as all star races that are involved on planet Earth have their star seeds, they are monitoring their star seeds. I am no exception. They use drones that look and masquerade as, they're spherical drones that look and masquerade as stars in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep an eye on their star seeds. And it is through their observations and monitoring of their star seeds that they will ferociously want to protect their star seeds from any such injustice, as there's no real overarching benefit other than for the reptilians to feed on the negative energies. Because, as I've said before, emotion, energy in motion, it's a frequency, it's an energy. And fear is a low vibrational but very powerful energy.
Wow. It's so fascinating. Thank you so very, very much. Do you have any final messages?
Just one last thing about the Earth's cabal and what is happening, as we did not discuss this. Everything on planet Earth is a theater. All of Earth's religions, the three main ones being Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have all been introduced by the cabal. And if you really break it down, each of those three religions are very similar in their roots.
Tell me about
They
that.
they differ somewhat in their cultural appropriation, but very similar. Particularly Muslim and Judaism. Both of them don't eat pork. They have similar values. But nonetheless, the point I am making is that all of these religions have been introduced by the cabal, by the regressives, as forms of mass mind control to keep people in fear, to keep people in a state of conflict, to keep people in a state of separation from source. The irony of religion is that it states that source or God or whatever deity it is separate from its followers, when the opposite is the actual case. And so, just like all religions are all part of the same original mind control infiltrate, so are all of the different factions all over the world, the Russians versus the US and the North Korea and South Korea and Iran and Iraq, and all of the conflicts that you see are all manufactured, and there is a grander puppet master, so to speak, playing around with the emotions of those on the planet and thus controlling the energy and controlling the matrix.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, what about the Irma that are having talks and the Galactic Federation? When will they start to intervene? I mean, you said they were now, but will we notice a difference soon?
It is happening at a higher frequency. Conflict is always attempted to be resolved in a non-violent manner. However, the Alfretons particularly are fairly belligerent.
Mm.
All you have to do is think of the most belligerent politicians on planet Earth. Chances are they may have either been influenced by the Alfretons or actually are Alfretons.
Hmm.
And this is why most people, if not all people on planet Earth who are not from those factions, have absolutely no interest or any relatability to their elected officials. Most people on a day-to-day basis have no interest or relatability to their elected officials. But there has been a mind control over millennia to create a human race on this planet that only responds to authoritarian figures and authority, i.e., authority needs to say something is true in order for it to be true.
Hmm.
An example being the current state of disclosure of so-called UAP, UFO, USO. All of these acronyms are all put in place to separate again the likelihood of extraterrestrials, but it is a disclosure process that is not really required for, if people are to just reach out with their own consciousness, reach into their own views, look at all of the information themselves, it is quite clear that we are not alone on planet Earth. And there are many influences, both historically and currently. However, because the human race needs an authority figure to say it is so, most people will not believe that there is such a thing as extraterrestrials until official channels say it is so.
How was that
This,
programmed? Go ahead.
it's been programmed over millennia, and most of it started with the religions. The religions led to governments, and the governments are now in control. But ancient times, it was the religions that were effectively the governments simultaneously before there was true government. But most government infrastructure across the planet, if you do look back, has a religious, heavily religious input into it. And all stems from mind control, separation, fear, and fear of retribution. Should you die, you're going to be sent to so-called hell if you haven't done what was asked of you in your waking life. When the reality of it is, death is but a shift in your consciousness, and it should never be feared. However, it has been drummed into every aspect of human culture, from movies to religion to authority and imprisonment and death sentences, etc. Everyone needs to fear death. And through the fear of death and the fear of suffering comes mind control of a population. And this is what the Galactic Federation members who are, and remember, those within the Galactic Federation that are opposing the way the Galactic Federation as a whole is looking out for or looking after planet Earth, they are still members of the Galactic Federation. The Irma are still members of the Galactic Federation, but they are known to be very much not listening in any way to the authority. If things do not make sense to the Irma, they do not do it. They have a very strong sense of their own principles and morals. And this is the thing. If humans realized their own power, if they realized that if individually they all decided to make their own decisions and not waited for their governments or authority figures to tell them what is real and what is not real, the matrix would dissolve almost instantly, and there would be a mass ascension.
Wow.
This is what is required.
That's amazing. Thank you so very, very much.
You are very welcome.